We really peaked at one point, and yeah.
Look at us
I'm
now.
only kidding.
The next one, Dave, we've only got a few more to go now. So the next one is probably the most important one, I think, or it's my favourite one, I suppose, which is the gift for Gimli. And what did Gimli get, Dave?
Yes. Galadriel basically took off her wig and gave it to Gimli and just said, here you go. I'm not going to be a drag queen anymore, Gimli. Son of gambling. What the hell's it? Glowing. Yeah. No, in actuality, she gave him 3 strands of her own hair, right?
Yeah, so the same as what happened in the films, that is what happened in the books, that he asked her for a single hair from her golden head, and she gave him 3, which is what the actor John Rhys Davies says in the films, which is beautifully done. But why is this important? And I am going to read a little bit from the book now in a moment as well, just of that part where she gives him the gift, because it's really, really lovely sequence. But what should we know before we go into this quote from the book? Obviously, we know that dwarves and elves, they didn't have a very good relationship. And it's shown that Gimli is extremely prejudiced against elves. We see that when we first meet him, actually, in the Council of Elrond, that he's like immediately just like, I will be dead before I see the ring in the hands of an elf, and kind of stuff. So you're kind of going, right, there's some bad blood here. So we know that strife has been going on between the two races since long before Gimli was even born. So it's kind of like it's just ingrained in him, just this hatred for these elves. And also then at the borders of Lothlorien, he's met with elven archers and with bows drawn, and he's again animosity from elves, and he's like just this more confirmation of his bias that he already has. He's kind of going, oh, these elves are the worst and stuff. But his stay in Lothlorien kind of opens his eyes to the beauty of the elves and of all of their ways. And so in that moment when she asked him what he would like, he spoke his heart's desire, I suppose. And so I'm going to read this little quote now from the book, which is, and also I have my cool little bookmark, which is my Fellowship of the Ring bookmark in my Fellowship.
Twisted around.
Oh, is it the wrong way around? There you go.
Oh, there we go. Now I can see it beautifully. Before you tell your quote,
yes,
or speak the quote, yeah, that looks really cool. Do you want me to chime in with any of her hair qualities, or do you want to just go straight from the good book?
Well, yeah, tell me what you know about her hair, because there is more than meets the eye.
Yeah, her hair was very beautiful, very bright and golden, because
she was a ginger, naturally.
She was from Armagh in Ireland. But she's obviously one of the only beings that was born in Valinor, so she has the eyes of whatever and she's seen. Sorry, I messed that up there. But yeah, basically she has like golden hair that's bright, that represents, I don't know, the light of Valinor, and also it has healing qualities, I believe. Kind of like Entangled, you can wrap your sore finger around with Galadriel's hair and boom, your wart is gone. What else? It's got some other qualities. I'll let you read from the good book of the Gospel of John and tell us what else is going on with her
John
hair.
Ronald Rule. Yes, it's but very, very good. Yeah, and it is important to know that she does have some important qualities with her hair, and I will get onto that in a moment. But first of all, I'm just going to read here.
Lorien.
She was worth it, Galadriel.
Yes, she was.
And what gift would a dwarf ask of the elves, said Galadriel, turning to Gimli. None, lady, answered Gimli. It is enough for me to have seen the Lady of the Galadriel, and to have heard her gentle words. Hear all ye elves, she cried to those about her. Let none say again that dwarves are grasping and ungracious. Yet surely, Gimli, son of Gloin, you desire something that I could give. Name it, I bid you. You shall not be the only guest without a gift. There is nothing, Lady Galadriel, said Gimli, bowing low and stammering. Nothing, unless it is permitted to ask, nay, to name a single strand of your hair, which surpasses the gold of the earth, as the stars surpass the gems of the mine. I do not ask for such a gift, but you commanded me to name my desire. The elves stirred and murmured with astonishment, and Celeborn gazed at the dwarf in wonder, but the lady smiled. It is said that the skill of the dwarves is in their hands rather than in their tongues, she said, yet that is not true of Gimli. for none have ever made to me a request so bold and yet so courteous. And how shall I refuse, since I commanded him to speak? But tell me, what would you do with such a gift? Treasure it, lady, he answered, in memory of your words to me at our first meeting. And if I ever return to the smithies of my home, it shall be set in imperishable crystal to be an heirloom of my house, and a pledge of goodwill between the mountain and the wood until the end of days. Then the lady unbraided one of her long tresses, and cut off 3 golden hairs, and laid them in Gimli's hand. So that is a really, really beautiful
So nice.
passage there. And I'm going to just explain a little bit about that. But first of all, just straight after that, Galadriel goes on to say that basically she knows that there's a possibility that they won't survive. But she says that if hope should not fail, then I say to you, Gimli, son of Gloin, that your hands shall flow with gold, and yet over you gold shall have no dominion. So just one more little blessing that she left him with there, that she was saying, like, look, you're probably going to die, but if you don't, you're going to have loads of gold, and basically you're never going to have that kind of dragon sickness that we see happens to Thorin. So, which is, I suppose, one of the main things we know about dwarves as well, is that they can become greedy, and the more they receive, they can that can kind of poison them. So that was just, I don't know, it's a lovely little thing as well, I think, to add into it.
And little did Gimli know that the gold that he would receive is actually a metaphor for just the 3 strands of hair that she gave him there.
But it's really cute, and he's just like...
it is
and
cute,
he's like,
yeah.
oh, I'm going to... but what are you going to do with the hair? He's like, treasure it, lady. It's like, oh, wow. And he's like, if I ever make it home, I'm going to speak to my friends who are the smithies, and they're going to cast it in this imperishable crystal to be an heirloom of his house. So this is how highly he thinks of Galadriel. The heirloom of his house is now going to be these 3 hairs and these 3 strands. Yeah,
I wanted to say how John Rhys Davies just delivered the whole thing so excellently, and it's a really, really touching moment. I can't remember, there was something else I wanted to say. I've completely forgotten it now. But yeah, I loved that scene so much in The Lord of the Rings. He does a great job.
I just love that moment where he says, like, I asked her for 1 hair from her golden head, and he's like, she gave me 3. And then it goes just to Orlando Bloom, and you just see his smile on his face, and I love that as well. There's no need to say anything at all. He's just his smile, and you're like kind of going, you're like, oh, I love these 2. I love them hanging out. I love them becoming friends. It's like, this is the best.
Exactly. It's one of those moments where you see they're really growing, their bond for each other is really growing, and it's really nice. But the one thing about that scene, book and movie, that's kind of unusual to me, this is what I wanted to add a moment ago. It's kind of unusual that she has all these gifts prepared for everyone, and then she has to go and ask Gimli. And I think that's a little bit uncomfortable. It's kind of like...
And he had this perfect answer prepared as well.
Yeah, well, like, he's just like, well, I don't want any gift, but if you're asking me what I truly desire, it is, one of your hairs. But it is kind of unusual. But maybe it was foreseen by Galadriel that this would happen the way it happened. But it's unusual that, like, she'd have all these amazing gifts, everyone's blown away, and then she goes to the dwarf and she say, well, I can't not give you something, so what do you want?
Yeah, but as you've just said,
you in an awful awkward position.
As you've just said, that maybe she foresaw how... courteous and also
proud he would be.
Yeah, but also just like how he demonstrated his affection for this elf queen, and him being a dwarf, that would be very unexpected, and it would be done publicly, and that would very, very quickly give all the elves that were there, that they would witness, wow, this is... And she starts, I think one of the things I said at the start of the quote was, she says, hear ye all who are before me, or something like that. She's speaking to all the elves that are there around.
It's a public
yeah, exactly. This is a big event.
But it's also not just for the elves and Galadriel, but like also the Fellowship as well. Like, you can see in the movie how Gimli explains what happened to Legolas, and then Legolas's bond grows a little bit for him. But like, obviously this is in a public setting in front of everyone, so Legolas is like, oh wow, look at the way he speaks so highly of like one of the greatest elves that's ever lived. So therefore his bond grows there. So it's done differently to the way it's done in the movie, but it's achieving the same result. So
yes,
it is quite
now
cool.
What's another important factor about what's going on here, and what's something that maybe Gimli didn't know that what was happening as well? He was actually kind of repeating a request that had been made to Galadriel thousands of years before by another had asked for her hair.
I thought you were going to say it thousands of times before.
No, thousands of years before. So in the youngest days of the world, in the age of the trees, another person had also asked her for some of her hair. Do you have any idea who that may have been back in the year of the trees? Back when the world was young.
Back in the year of the trees.
So this is way before the first age for people who don't know what's going on. You've got the 3 ages of Middle Earth. And then before that, you've the year of the trees. Who was knocking around then?
Because Elrond wasn't in Valinor.
It wasn't out of love.
Yeah. Okay. It was Feanor.
Yes, it was. Good job.
Okay. Yeah. I was thinking it could only be a relation.
He had to be the answer sometime, I suppose. So, Feanor, he was the High King of the Noldor at the time. And he was also the legendary smith. Now, he hadn't created his Silmarils yet at this point. He would go on to do so later on. But he was the uncle of Galadriel, and he saw his niece and he saw how her hair glowed with a spectacular light. And he did, as I said, he went on then later to forge the 3 Silmarils, and he did that from the light of the 2 trees. So he's a big fan of good lighting, basically, Feanor. He loves a bit of light, and he's like, just some lovely light there now.
Love a good ring light.
Yeah.
She really is like Rapunzel in the movie Tangled. I'm sure everyone has seen that.
That's where Tolkien got his inspiration.
From the movie that came out in 2009 or whenever.
So I have a little quote here from the book Unfinished Tales, which is taken from the chapter The History of Galadriel and Celeborn. And in that chapter, actually, we get loads of information about some more of the things I'm going to tell you. But just a quick quote here was, "And her hair was held a marvel unmatched. It was golden like the hair of her father and of her foremother, Indis, but richer and more radiant. For its gold was touched by some memory of the star-like silver of her mother. And the Eldar said that the light of the 2 trees had been snared in her tresses." So you mentioned that before, that there was something to do with the light of the 2 trees and with her hair and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you were exactly correct. So the Eldar said that the light had been snared in her hair, basically. And this is the same light that then was used, as I said, to make the 3 Silmarils. So there's this whole thing that's like linked, and it's very, very important. And again, Feanor then asked her for a strand of her hair that he wanted to forge into a jewel. So this is again before the Silmarils. So maybe Feanor is in the preliminary stages of this process. He's kind of going, I just need to come up with a few different possibilities. How am I going to do this? How am I going to get that light? He's like, maybe I can use her hair to channel the light. That could be one way. And this is the first thing he's thinking of. And he asked her, how many times do you think he asked her for a strand of her hair?
I got to go with 3, because 3 Silmarils, 3 hairs, 3 is an important number.
3 is an important number. It's a magic number. And yes, but also it's important then, I suppose, that he asked her 3 times. And thrice she rejected him, we are told as well. And it's because it's also said that she saw in him a darkness that she feared and loathed. And then it's so cool then that Galadriel later fulfilling Gimli's request thrice over is just, that's not a coincidence, that he's like, I just want 1 strand. She's like, here's 3.